Yeah, what's up, everybody? Yeah, sorry I abruptly left, man. I be getting annoyed when they be saying that people be saying they can't hear me, and I be thinking, yo, man, this app is tripping. Let y'all get in here, but we're gonna talk to the replay gang at least for the first couple of minutes, because I ain't really about to be live long enough to let y'all just get up in here. So I really need to talk about the TikTok situation too, because TikTok has now been put on U.S. servers with Oracle, and they already fucking with it. I really think they're gonna slowly kill TikTok. And probably they probably told. I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if the Ellisons didn't get subsidized for the purchase of TikTok by the U.S. government, and they're gonna slowly kill TikTok off because they just don't like the fact that people got access. It's a lot of stuff. They just don't. They see TikTok as like a foreign entity, but TikTok is now in U.S. hands. So that's one thing. And a lot of them fools are put like 5 years on the TikTok. A lot of them probably gonna have to ship. Personally, Instagram would be like where they would usually go. Instagram would be where they would usually go, but YouTube is king. Anyway, like I was saying, YouTube is king. So when it comes to that, because they just got, even though YouTube, none of these apps are perfect, but they got the best. Press one if you hear me. They got the best, the stablest pay model, like that. So you got that. What's up, Snazzy? I know the Corey situation, what I was trying to talk about yesterday. I'll just see if I can get some uploads out of it. But yeah, okay. You got the Super Bowl coming. I don't know, man. We'll see. Personally, I mean, honestly, it could go either way. If I had to put my bet on it, I'd say the Seahawks. But somebody actually broke some stuff down to me that really let me know it's going to depend. It's going to be which offense can break out. That's really it always kind of comes back to that, right? But yeah, it's definitely going to depend. And I know that Drake May is actually out of UNC Chapel Hill, so UNC. So that's cool. So a lot of North Carolinians will be looking at that. And if that dude win, that white boy, they're gonna wild out. It's actually, I think, been the first time in a minute. It hasn't been like a black quarterback, black coach, any of that. So you would think these white people would calm the hell down. I'll tell you what I want to talk about. I want to talk about real quick while I got the chance. This situation with Renee Good and Alex. These white people that got shot by ICE, and now these white liberals in particular are being upset. SWP has done a great video about it. Hold on one second. Anyway, like I was saying, like with this Alex thing, Professor Black Truth has done great commentary. I'll share SWP's post. It's called White Liberal Fatigue. And Professor Black Truth has done a couple videos on this, and they've all been good. And press 2 if you can still hear me, just to make sure. Because when I leave and come back, I just want to make sure before I go on. My thing, here's my thing. You gotta make no mistake. Very few people are actually speaking on your best interest. When I say your best interest, I mean as a black man, as a black man, as a black person. Very few people are really doing that. And you have to really think for yourself on a lot of these things. Okay, great. Think for yourself on a lot of these things, because everybody is trying to sell you something without telling you they're trying to sell you something. It used to be legal to do that, but those rules have been like thrown up in the window. My thing is, it's unfortunate what happened to that chick, but at the end of the day, white people are responsible for the climate, and black people need to start being very assertive. Black Democrats aren't going to do that because they want something from white people. They're like fucking pets. They, they're like domesticated animals, the way they operate with the Democrat. They don't operate with the Democratic Party from a position of power. That's why you don't never hear about primarying people. You never fucking hear anybody talk about what really needs to happen is people need to start getting primary and getting motherfuckers out of there. People want to talk about it's important to vote, but they don't really say what you should vote for. They just know that the numbers are, if more black people vote, more black people are going to vote for the Democrats. So they don't really spell it out as far as what you should vote for, because once you vote for who you should vote for, but then you're going to ask, what are you voting for? And Democrats, as Professor Blacktree absolutely has said, that the absolute goal of the Democratic Party is to not do nothing for black people. Now, we know Republicans don't fuck with black people. So the point of voting Republican is really to dial back a lot of liberal policies. That's really the main reason. This idea, that's really the main reason. It's really to punish the Democrats. Because the Republicans are never going to view black people in their audience base. They're just not. And a lot of politics in the black community really has nothing to do with right or left. It really has a lot to do with how we politic with each other, us getting on the same page, or us really revealing people that really don't. They have their own self-interest. They don't really care about the black community. They care what they can extract and they can finagle and manipulate or finesse people into doing what they want and getting an audience. That's really what we do here. When it comes to politics, and a lot of that, and BGS has talked about that, and I need to talk about that more, a lot of that has to do with policies. A lot of these policies that it really shouldn't even be about left, right. It really should be, these are the policies that we're going to vote on. And whichever one of y'all are doing that, some of them are longer term policies. Like reparations is like an intergenerational policy. Reparations is like, the holy, like Israel, the state of Israel. It's an intergenerational policy. And I like that policy because, at least in this conversation, that policy lets you know who's really on the team. I'm going to tell you right now, and I've had people that, they were on one side of reparations and now they're on the other side of reparations. But I quite like, a lot of y'all, it's one thing to say we need reparations with caveats. That's one thing. But when anybody that's on some, I don't believe you should have reparations, in my opinion, you're an enemy of the state. Straight like that. Straight like that. I'm not even playing with you. It's just like a Jew that would say, I don't believe it's really important to have a state of Israel. The difference is with Israel, with Jewish people, when you play that game, you can be Bernie fucking Madoff, and they can basically set you up to get down. A big reason why Bernie Madoff was like maybe 40 miles north of here in Butner, North Carolina, which is north of where I'm at. Which is where R. Kelly is, right? It's a very prison psych ward town. A big reason, I'm gonna go back to Nicole Good thing, but a big reason why Bernie Madoff got the time he got, because even for the scale of what he did, he deserved more. He got the time that he got, which is not typical of white collar crime, let alone white people, let alone Jewish people, was because he stole from Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, amongst a couple of other Jewish people. He broke that trust. And they basically probably encouraged him, yeah, you got to make an example of this. And they already kind of wanted to do it anyway because of the skit, because he stole from rich people, but it was also certain kinds of rich people he stole from. It's the same thing with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the congresswoman out of Florida, which she was supposed to be running for the next senator or governor. You haven't seen that because Deborah Wasserman Schultz basically chose Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. Even though Bernie Sanders is secularly Jewish, she broke the code. She broke the covenant. And they're like, well, I had to go with a woman. They're like, man, fuck you. Fuck you. You're Jewish before you're a woman. I don't give a fuck about that. Truth be told, you're Jewish before you're white. And she like, well, because she was the Democratic chairman at the time. Chairman of the Democratic Committee at the time. And she stacked the deck against Bernie Sanders. They was like, nah, you didn't let Bernie Sanders. Look, Bernie Sanders has flaws. The Bernie Sanders is not perfect. And Bernie Sanders ain't really a friend of black people like that. That motherfucker is from Maine. I don't trust nobody with an area that white. Maine, Vermont. Vermont is one of the whitest areas in the it is literally like top 3 whitest states in the country. I don't give a fuck about how liberal they are. Ben and Jerry's, Vermont cheese, all that bullshit. But the reality is, see, they can put penalties. Black people have this posture of, and unfortunately, what are you going to do about it if they coon? It's really no penalties, let alone penalties that like white people can't compensate for. But we don't even have anything people got to think about. So my point is, when people sit here and they say they're against reparations, there's no real cost for that other than black people hollering online. There's no real social cost. There's no real, you know, I'm not just talking about street costs. I'm talking about like even people like, I can't fuck with you. You know, just, you know, they're like, where's the equivalent? Like, you're lame. The hoes won't fuck with me if they see me fucking with you, so I can't fuck with you. Even something as basic as some shit like that. So as a meaning, you gonna be over there for real with white people. Not kind of, you know, you can come back, you know, when you feel, no, you're going to be for real. And we know how they are. And when they break you, you're done. You're on a clock. Excommunication. And what people would say, how would that be helpful? Well, number one, that will be like honestly, like for instance, Anton Daniels' channel should have basically lost like 50% of his subscriber, like his black subscribership off of what he said with reparations. But the problem is, it's a lot of people that want to flirt with a lot of Anton's cooning, but they don't want to jump all the way out the window with it because they do know how white people are. And I know that's true because when Anton was on the Lapeef network, a lot of people want to say Anton changed up with money. No, this is who Anton really was. The money just allowed him to express that. I said that when I saw Amira in there. And, you know, Amira, I like, you know, I don't have an issue with Amira like that, but Amira is ignorant. And I would tell that to her face. I've talked to her, even with Passport Bros. Me and Marty actually talked to Amira. And we went at her, you know, respectfully. But I didn't, but I almost, because don't get me started on what the Lebanese be doing behind the scenes. Our shit, for the most part, is out there. Y'all, a lot of y'all cover up y'all bullshit. A lot of y'all cover up the cousin fucking, the fact that y'all be having kids with very closely related people. That's why y'all, that's one of the reasons why y'all so tight-knit that doesn't really get talked about. I'm not saying everybody does that. Shout out to I forget his name, but he's the CEO of Camping World. He did The Prophet. He's Lebanese. You know, fucking Steve Jobs have to, I'm not shitting on it, but I'm just being real. Like, our shit is out there. Y'all shit ain't. And don't think just because your shit ain't out there, people don't know it. They just don't care. Right? You know, so when people come in here and talk about black, like a lot of this kind of passive white supremacy, it's like, well, y'all don't get to complain about white imperialism when you all practice white supremacy. I don't care. And it's kind of like, this is where we'll because I'm going out in the weeds, we'll rope this back into the Nicole situation with liberals. Black people need to really start telling liberals to their face, you're racist. We know you're racist. Stop fucking acting like you're better than the rednecks or you're better than the fucking conservatives. Because you're not. You just choose to do the shit overtly versus covertly. And I don't give a fuck about living around white people. I really don't. I don't have this thing. Personally, I've been around white people and I've been around mixed communities. I've been around all black communities, mixed communities. Generally, I prefer more of a mixed community that leans more colored than not. But truth be told, this goes back to Nicole's situation. At the end of the day, no matter how you slice it or dice it, they told her to do something. She want to push her car, and it's a history of people running into people. There has been more egregious examples of police brutality. And a lot of people like to use the feds, like they like their local people, but like feds are seen as a foreign entity. So this thing about, like, it's unfortunate what happened with her, but the fact that white people, SMP said it great, like they think they could dictate our response levels. I'm proud of black people for staying out of it. And people have been telling me they're going to try when the summer comes up to get black people riled up. And I'm like, yo, if you motherfuckers, like, this is what people need to understand. This is what liberals need to understand. When you all allow these conservatives to fuck with affirmative action, not to mention basically fuck with the education system, black people, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Here's the real issue. The real issue as to why you see this is because you fuck with black women's money. You basically transfer black women's money to these immigrants. And black women feel this shit and you betray them. I'm not saying that I don't agree. I'm not glad they transferred the immigrants, but I am glad that they fucked with their money. And now black women aren't going to try to compel black men and gaslight black men to vote. Yeah, you got the upper echelon of black women that's going to sell the soap. Not to mention that black women see you firing, the media companies firing all these females that used to push the soap. They're seeing this. So the real problem is black women are starting to pull back, and black men just never gave a fuck to begin with, unless it was an economic incentive for them to, try to get a job or something. Black men already was on the this is bullshit type shit. And so when black women pull back, really that's it, bottoming the fuck out. And I've had conversations with white liberals. I've had conversations with black liberals. Black liberals generally don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm not talking about online, I'm talking about offline. For anybody that want to get an attitude, they don't. They do not know what the fuck they're talking about. And here's the thing. People always say, well, what about black conservatives? Black people already don't trust black conservatives. It is an uphill so I don't have to convince black people of conservative bullshit, because they already are predispositioned to believe that anyway. So when people be like, why aren't you going after the Republicans? Because niggas ain't really voting for the Republicans like that. They not. What black men people are doing is either voting Democrat or not voting. That's what they're doing. Particularly black men. And you know black women ain't supporting the Republicans, because the truth is the Republicans ain't gonna let them do what the fuck they want to do anyway. They're not gonna allow them to rotate chaos anyway, just on some GP shit. Appreciate the $10. Shout out to Marcus A. Brown. Make sure y'all subscribe to him, man. He's one of the few dudes overseas that actually doing it right. He's right up there with Marty. I gotta get a panel of like him, Clutch, Marty, people really doing it right. Yeah, Marcus, we got that Discord. I mean, once I get it like really popping, definitely one of your channels is gonna be one of the ones I try to push in there. Shout out, same thing with Clutch too. Because a lot of these motherfuckers, because like all this anti-Daniel shit, you got these new motherfuckers just trying to, now people just want to turn it. I love seeing people that and I'm being sarcastic, that they be getting like 10 views, like 50 something views, and they just be throwing up a Cash App in their damn shit just because ain't putting no time in, ain't adding no fucking value. It's funny. But anyway, yeah, so a lot of these liberals, man, they sit, people, you white liberals, it's funny because they really think, and I've told them, I said, y'all really think you know shit. Like, you really think you're smarter than the average motherfucker out here. Like, you really do. Like, y'all really do. And I've had to tell a couple of them, yo, at the end of the day, you are white before you're a liberal. Well, I mean, and I get it. I tell them, let's speak frank. Fuck the bullshit. I'm not going to get mad. Because I'm not going to get mad. And they be thinking I'm like gaslighting them. I'm like, no, I'm not. Because what happens is we got to play this game where I can speak, tell you what the issue is, y'all have a face that y'all have on. And we don't all have a face. You all have a face that y'all put on, and it's like I'm talking to a fucking like intercom. I'm not talking to a real person. I'm talking to a fucking intercom because you don't want to be perceived as racist. Motherfucker, let me be very clear here. You're either racist or you're not. Like, only you know if you're racist. And I can tell you right now, the fact that y'all gotta jump, like the fact I can usually really have a conversation with somebody, and I can tell, you do realize I can tell they're racist or not, right? Like, for real, right? How? Because when you all are like talking around, like worried about saying the wrong thing, why do you have to be worried about saying the wrong thing unless you're hiding something? See, I can speak very frankly about what I think. People try to call me homophobic, but like I said, at the end of the day, I wasn't against gay people having a right to have civil unions. I was absolutely against gay marriage, and 10 years later, almost 11 years later, we have absolutely been proven right. as far as why they should have never got marriage. They basically took marriage and completely fucked with the society. To the point where motherfucker, you got women out here talking about men that cut off their dick. Or don't, hell, a lot of them don't even cut off their dick. They feel they are gay, so they're gay. And this is the thing with the trans thing. They use trans people in order to normalize the other shit. So they be like, I'm not accepting that. And people that are trans, or they claim that bullshit, because I personally think you're mentally ill if you do that. Fuck what you want to say, go to hell, kiss my ass. That, to me, that's no different than you saying I think I'm a bird. Or that's no different than you saying I think I'm attracted to fucking donkeys and shit. That's a mental illness. And it's a mental illness that the society has allowed to express. You know, with epigenetics are the expression of genes versus the genes themselves. And we've allowed a lot of mental illness to be expressed and a lot of bullshit because people are low-key volunteering to be in the underclass. That's really what that really is when you think about it. That's people jumping out the game board for various reasons. But anyway. But yeah, you know, you had these conversations and it's hard to have frank. I've told them it's hard to have frank conversations because at the end of the day, you know, y'all think people gonna be in the feelings. I'm not the type of person in my feelings. I actually know the information behind what I'm saying. And I know the history too. It's not just enough to know the information. It's enough to know the history and the because history is context. Information without context is not as valuable. But a lot, so when y'all be like, I don't want to say this, I don't want to say that, that tells me everything I need. Because I'm like, I don't have to. I can speak very freely. I'm not saying that I'm just going to let everything out. But I don't have a direct issue with white people. Like, oh, deep down, I hate white people. Even though the history definitely will warrant it. But I don't have that. You know, with the police. I've been stopped by police. But I've also been let go by white police. Generally, the worst police combo I don't like is a salt and pepper team. Because the black dude generally does the most. If it's a black cop, give me a black cop by himself. But when it's one with a white dude, oh no, fuck that. Fuck that. So, I can speak freely. I can say, do you think 90% of the police force is, I've asked a white dude this, do you think 90% of the police force, I've asked her, what percentage of the police force do you think are really good police, honorable cops? Like, they are really good, honorable, their heart is in the right place police. Well, like 80%? Like, is that what you really think? You really, 80%? And he's like, well, I mean, come on, thinking it's an argument. You really think it's 80%? Like, I mean, and he was about to argue for the 80%. I said, no, I think 90%. I'm surprised you said that low. And he was like, are you like, am I like playing with him? I said, no. Because here's the thing. If 90% of the police, there's about 1 million cops in the United States. We're not even counting, we're counting police officers. We're not even really counting sheriffs. We're just counting like cops in a department. Not sheriffs, not state troopers, not like, Texas Rangers, not feds. Not even SP state troopers of the state. I'm just talking about cops. On the ground beat cops. 90%. If 90% of them are honorable citizens, that leaves 100,000 that are fucked up. What impact do you think one bad cop can have? Because then the other cops got to cover for them. The other cops got to compromise the fraternal police. So the fact that you said 80% tells me you believe that at best 200,000 are fucked up. So now we got to talk about how much does one bad apple, what is the damage one bad apple does? And I personally think one bad apple does as much as like 10 cops. For every one bad cop, that could compromise 10 cops. That's the problem. But see, the problem is because the cops don't fuck with y'all don't really care. Not out of acceptable, and y'all know when y'all get killed by the police, y'all are doing the absolute most. One thing, I'm not the biggest fan of Accountable Commentary's videos, that he be doing those body cam videos, but I do watch them. So I'm not about to sit here and then shit on them when I watch them. But one thing I will say, it is some valuable, insightful information. Me personally, I think he should do that with Patreon. But hey, who am I to tell somebody what to do with their own channel? But what I will say is what's valuable is you do get to see, because I watched like 3 of them while I was on a trip. You do get to see that black women get a lot of rope that black men would never get. And I mean beyond the fact that they're just women. You can tell by how they interact with the police. These motherfuckers are not really scared of the cops. Like, I mean, to the point where they'll act like they will fight a cop. And that tells you a lot about, and the other thing that I love to hear is when they say, oh, I'm a woman, I'm a girl. They love bringing that up. This is what I mean when I say women do expect privilege. Women expect for the law to handle them gently. The law is, this is how you know. You can't say you believe in equality, but you don't believe the law should be applied the same. You can't say that. That's how I know y'all don't really believe in equality. Y'all want advantages. As other people say, I say you believe in supremacy. And that recontextualizes a lot of shit. So niggas, so once you want supremacy, bitch, you gonna have to take it. You're not about to finesse your way into a supremacist situation. I had a conversation with BGS one time. We was on a panel, like I think it was arts. And we were talking about that, you know, maybe he was on BGS's thing. We're talking about, I own you, nigga. And BGS was giving me all these reasons why he can't do nothing. And I said, yo, kamikaze shit is always on the table. If that dude, like when she did that, kamikaze shit is always on the table. You know what Vegeta did when he did that Super Saiyan, like self-detonation, that's always on the table. So a bitch want to be like, I own you, nigga. Bitch, you can get your neck snapped. And yeah, I might get killed. But guess what? Yeah, I might get killed after the fact, but you still dead. And this is obviously talking about within that fictional show. And obviously there's a certain other psychological manipulation that's going to make it so that don't happen. But that's always on the table. And so when you got women that's looking like that, like, I own you, nigga, I'm like, cool, then we can die together. I'm just gonna get a head start. Now what? Like, you still a female no matter what. And unless you got dudes right there, like when you that close to do your head like that, oh yeah, that's like you want some other stuff. Like, I'm not about to hit you because you can endure that. Like when you in it, like that's always, and see, that's the thing. You never know. You never know. What do they say? Chances that this will happen, but never zero. Like with like cats and stuff. And so you get people to these because you see they're not quick to do that. When you change the variables, they're not quick to pop like that on white people. When they do that, it's usually because they so angry they lost their mind and they get that shit recorrected real quick. But going back to the liberal thing, man, yeah, at the end of the day, man, it's like, yo, y'all trying to act like, oh, I don't want to be, look, dude, you either are or you aren't. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'd rather talk to a real racist. I'd rather talk to somebody that's comfortable in their racial bullshit than somebody that's just going to gaslight me to death. Because gaslighting me is an insult to my intelligence and a waste of my motherfucking time. So, because truth be told, black people would move differently if black people really understood how racist a lot of liberals are. Black people would move very differently. So it's actually very subversive when like white people do that shit. Like your Bill Maher's and shit like that. So just with like, again, you know, yeah. Like, now there's certain people that will talk honestly about white supremacy. But a lot of these people, you know, they be like, yo, you're white first. No matter what you tell me, I know that to be true. And we can play games. So are we going to have a real conversation? Or are we just going to play, we're going to do this tit-tit-tat dance? And then, you know, if they do say something, they'll start saying what they really think about black. And here's the funny thing. A lot of white people don't even know real American history. And I've told them that. I've literally had conversations with people where I've told people I wouldn't teach them the history either. Because you're going to traumatize your children. You will traumatize your children telling them the history of this country. White children. You will traumatize them. You will fuck them up. I've literally told white people this. You will absolutely fuck your kids up. That if you tell them in middle school you used to throw fucking black babies and gay, like, you really tell the real truth about what y'all was doing. For instance, let's talk about something that's fact. The breeding shit. If you talk about the breed, hell, we barely talk about the extinction of Indians. The way they try to make it sound like the Indians were all killed by the fucking measles, and white people didn't know. White people didn't know that was going, so it was an honest accident. Even though you got natives all around here in Mexico, all of that. White people didn't just come here; they're all everywhere. Blanco, we think Blancos all that are. So they didn't kill them all off. They just recontextualized the history. Now I know people will be like, "Well, yeah, you believe that, Ed, but you saying that black people weren't really here first." Yeah, y'all will traumatize these kids if y'all tell these kids what y'all was really on. That's why I'm gonna get to your that's why when white people, like, this is how you know you dealing with a racist little prick. When they use the term edgy, whether it's dudes or Asians or dudes or females, that's basically code for white. I want to be edgy. And I'm like, yo, fuck me being mad. Like, what, I would if I really wanted to hurt your ass, I would kidnap your ass and I would make your ass watch real American history. I would make your ass watch real American history. I saw a TikTok of a white female that was talking about white supremacy, and she was being genuine about it based on what she was saying. But she said she was a history teacher, and she said there's even things about her she don't even understand, or she don't get. Like, somebody told her, you know why the South, because she's from the North, you know why the South is so polite, right? And she said, why? It's because historically, if black people weren't polite to white people, they would die on the spot. That hit me. And she was like, damn. For real. She was like, wow, yeah. And she was really talking about how white supremacy fucks up white people too. Like how we don't have walkable cities, healthcare, all the stuff we don't have. See, that's what Bernie Sanders won't say. Bernie Sanders won't say we don't have these things because we're playing a long-term denial game for black people, and all we've done at best is stagnated their percentage of the population. And really, you've had to bring in Hispanics to even do that. You've literally had to move 20 million people in here to do that. You haven't really stagnated black people's population. And now a big reason why the country is getting half white versus mostly white is because of the shit they did. They fucked up white people. Even a fentanyl. The way they handle shit, they can't do it openly. They can't do it without it looking racist. And that hurts their soft power. Anyway, let me get these super chats. Shout out to Clutch with the $5. He says, I'm on the outskirts of the Bay Area, but have no FOMO, fear of missing out. He means for not going into San Francisco often due to how extreme, covertly racist the liberals are over there. Yeah. Like, I don't have a need to be around white people. I really don't. Like, I don't have a problem being around white people, but I don't have a need to be around white people. I've been in their homes. I've spent the night at their houses, you know. Like, a lot of y'all haven't had that experience. I have had that experience. You know, I don't. And it's not about me not liking white people or something like that. But I just don't have this need for validation from them. Man, that video with Shay Sade, the biggest thing that jumped out of me, that video Shay Sade did without playing with y'all with that mixed chick talking, was the fact that her mom, her black mother, had a need for validation from white women. That really got me, because white women are never going to accept black women like that. Not like that. They don't care. A black woman is never going to accept they're never going to accept you like that. Shout out to Aisa. Both sides don't talk about the money. You're right, they don't. Again, shout out to Marcus A. Brown. Make sure you subscribe to him. Make sure you subscribe to Clutch as well. Like, I don't have a lot of niggas got a need, and I'm like, I don't have a need. Like it's, oh man, I like, if you could say, okay, you would never be around black people ever again. If you could choose to never see a white person ever again and never see a black person ever again, that's not even a question. That's not even a question. That's not even a question at all. And I'm saying that because there's a lot of black people that have you asked yourself that question. A lot of y'all legit would be like, oh my God, I just don't know. Hell, I could be like, you could be around every other group but white people. Like one will just disappear like a Thanos snap. You'll never see him again. A lot of y'all be like, oh my God, what kind of question? Y'all find ways not to answer the question. And I'm not saying I'm advocating for somebody disappearing, but what I'm saying, anyway, going back to my last point. My last point is this history is all around you. I would snatch that motherfucker and I'd tie him to a fucking chair and make him watch real black history. The Jim Crow shit. Not this bullshit about, well, World War II happened and fast forward, we get to the civil rights movement. Not even what led up to the civil rights movement. They act like black people just came out of the woodwork saying, run my shit. You got to remember, the whole fucking Constitution had to be altered for black people. Why the fuck do you think that is when people are a lot more racist? Are they still racist but overtly racist? Why the fuck do you think that is? You had people that served their country. Dudes that basically took bullets for white people, protected white boys. They came home to a fucking rope. You have motherfuckers, planes, it's a story of a plane that crashed in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Air Force Base is over there, right? And it's like an hour from here, hour and 10 minutes from here. That those soldiers, because they had to parachute out that plane, they couldn't even talk to the white people locally because how racist they were. You gonna get better treatment from fucking being in enemy territory in Germany. And these are from white boys that never served. That's why Eisenhower was like, no, y'all gonna kill that shit. That he had to correct that quick. Y'all gonna kill that shit where black soldiers are getting killed because y'all want to do this and do that, especially for motherfuckers that ain't served. And we talk about real wars. The reality of the situation is these white people don't know their history. They don't. How do I know? They don't know their own history, truth be told, even as white people. They don't know it. They try to really act like they don't have these ethnic attitudes. And that's another reason why they need black folks. Because without black folks, the ethnic fractures will start. But that's one thing about the American experience. When they say the melting pot, they mean the white melting pot. You're under this one thing called whiteness. Not German, not Anglo, not French. You see the fractures now with what Trump is doing. Trump is, as BGS said, Prussian. The cold weather is not being manufactured, man. Dude, we've had Arctic. We've had this before. Come on, man, Ray. Please don't put stuff like that in my chat. In fact, we had, like where I'm at in North Carolina, we had an Arctic thing last year. This stuff happens. But yeah. Motherfuckers are out here. This is crazy, man. Yeah, but like seriously, they don't know. So when they talk about I'm being edgy, what you really doing? That's like you're like a little German kid. You're like a little German kid saying I'm being edgy. And talking about Jewish people, because it's illegal to deny the Holocaust in Germany. You have the company's called Hobart. You have Hobart ovens, and most of your grocery stores have what's called Hobart ovens. Hobart ovens was the company that they used to gas. You can walk in them if you work at a grocery store or you work in a bakery and you see Hobart. That's what that is. When you see them putting in the ovens and shit. It's all around us if you know where to look. And so when you hear people saying, I'm not saying that you don't have real problems with people fucking with the money and do the bullshit. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is when you hear people saying stupid shit just to be cute, just to be fucking cute, it's like you might as well be making fun of raping a bitch. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be edgy doing that. That's why all these people, on Twitter talk about they used to say the N-word to be edgy and all that. Nah, be edgy when you know the real history. And I don't mean know the history. I mean feel the history. I mean see the process. See a baby get killed. You think I'm fucking playing? There's a nursery rhyme called 12 Little Monkeys. And it goes like this: 12 little monkeys can't catch me. Or like it's something. It's about It's about white people throwing black babies into the water in order to see if there's alligators there. It's all around us if you really know. And so when you hear especially white liberals love to have a moral superiority or they have a white superiority complex that they express through moral superior. And they get angry when you break that reality, you start pecking at it. This is why a lot of times I talk to white people. I'm talking to them based on what their ethnicity is. A lot of times I'll bypass that white shit. And a lot of even white women, they get real uncomfortable when you start asking that. Why do you need to know that? Because I don't believe in whiteness. How about that? So what are you for real? And a lot of them don't even be fucking knowing for real. Dead ass. And then you got black people that don't even know where that story comes from, and they'll fucking tell their kids that nursery rhyme. And so again, you really show them that type of history, and you really show them all this, it will traumatize their ass. As a kid, it will, and that's not true. Yes, it is, because when that TV show, The Watchmen, came out, and they did that reparations episode, which was a powerful episode, by the way, because that was supposed to be the third episode. I'm glad they made it the first. Reparations, and they basically said, said that Tulsa, just the fact that they said Tulsa, Oklahoma was destroyed because white people came and destroyed it. That week, Tulsa, Oklahoma was the most searched term that week on Google. Why? Because white people didn't believe that's true. That's why ChatGPT and Gronk is fucking white people up, because ChatGPT is telling these white people the truth, and a lot of white people are asking this thing questions, and they know white people programmed it, so it's like, damn, this shit is telling them the truth about certain historical shit. And if you fuck with the history, you might fuck with other shit with ChatGPT, because they didn't believe it was true. That shit was crazy to me. But then again, most black people don't know about Liberia. Most black people don't know that up until 1990, a certain sect African Americans had a whole country they was fucking running. And then white people basically fucked up the country. Most black people don't know about Liberia today. Hell, most black people barely know about the two richest billionaires, black billionaires in the United States. They know they know the celebrities. So yeah, they don't know because it's not taught. It might be taught in Oklahoma, but I doubt it. It might be taught in like the Tulsa school system, but it's not taught. Because see, now It's a different conversation if black people outside of slavery built their own shit and y'all kept blowing it the fuck up. So black people were like, okay, yeah, we need to integrate because y'all just keep blowing our shit up. Because it's going to be harder for you to blow our shit up when our shit is right next to you. That's really where integration really came in. We had our own, the Negro Baseball League, black people and Jewish people invested in that. A reason why, like, that's why the American League and National League were two different leagues. A lot of the shit was a lot like Europe. It wasn't monopolized. Like, when you look at all their leagues, the Premier League for soccer, that shit ain't all the same thing. That's why they got to come together with FIBA and FIFA. This shit didn't come out the ether. That's a big reason with Jackie. Like, real talk, why did you integrated Jackie Robinson because it needed to stop for racism? No, you piece of shit. You all did not want a competing league. And you knew those black players. Shit, this motherfucker that say Babe Ruth might have been black, might have been mixed with black. I usually don't tend to dive in those typical things, but there is evidence of it. There's evidence that Beethoven might have had some black mixed in him. There's evidence. I'm not about to fall in line for that shit. But my point is, fall on the sword for that shit. But my point is that the reality is we had our own shit and they wanted all of it. They didn't want a competing thing. That's really what that was. And they kept blowing our shit up. And white women, and one thing that I'm never gonna let go is most of these race riots always started with a white female. So when white women try to talk the shit they talk, I'll be like, y'all have never acknowledged your role in that. And I don't want to hear no, you can't control, fuck that. That's why when white women talk some of the shit they talk, bitch, you're just as much of a white supremacist as he is. Because the reality is, these motherfuckers are coming out of your homes. We see all the tinkering y'all try to do with everything else. Y'all tinker with everything other than white supremacy. I noticed that. Y'all want to play with everything other than white supremacy. Everything other than white supremacy. No, well, our men used to be a lot more brutal than what they are now. Yeah, but y'all didn't want them to be brutal to y'all. So y'all handpicked them over time in collusion with the elites. Y'all had y'all own reasons for doing that. Today I learned the Queen didn't want to release another, hold on, let me see. Give me a second. Today I learned the Queen didn't want to release another One Bites the Dust until Michael Jackson told them that's a hit, release it. It became one of their biggest songs and they didn't even like it. Yeah. Princess Diana was on point. Princess Diana got it. She really did. Which is why they got her. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, that's why they don't like you traveling, because they don't want you really seeing other models, because naturally you're going to compare and contrast. All right, I'm back. Press 1 if you can hear me. Yeah, I left the app. Press 1 if you can hear me. All right. Yeah, man. So, I mean, when you hear these liberals, it's like, I know y'all don't, and most people don't know history, to be fair, but yeah. Yeah, so when you hear people, I mean, you know, liberals are so full of fucking shit. They really are. Thank you. And the thing is, they haven't been called to the carpet. That's the issue. They really haven't. And they got this thing like, yeah, man, let's do this. Like, this some brand new conversation. Like, we haven't seen what the fuck y'all be doing. So anyway, so as far as that Renee shit, yes. So as far as that, you know, Renee shit, you know, it is what it is. But white people be like, it's just like what they trying to use with that Ukrainian chick that died. And fucking Charlotte. They use these white women to try to get shit started up. And it's like, y'all mad because they're white. I don't know why you acting like people don't see that. It's the same thing with these other races, like Hispanics. Asians a little bit more honest about it. But like Hispanics, like, oh no, why aren't you helping us? I'm like, why aren't y'all like Hispanics are the ones that broke for Trump? What are you talking about? Like, what you think we about? Like like y'all don't understand all this racial bullshit that y'all be doing. Like, we don't see that shit. I don't understand. Aren't we allies, bitch? Shut the fuck. That's what I be wanting to say. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, y'all got any questions about the Anton Daniels situation? I done caught up on a couple of O'Shea's videos on it. With like Kwame Brown and Anton be feeling himself for real. I'm like, yeah, you forget them niggas are NBA players, man. One thing about Anton is Anton is one of these bitch ass niggas. You can tell he want to sue. This nigga want to be a gangster, but he quick to sue. He want to run it in white folks to courts. He quick on that. I'ma sue you. He quick on that. He real quick on that. I'ma sue you if you touch me. I agree with that. I'm not saying Trump is necessary chaos. Trump is a disruptor. That's the issue. That's the thing about even Professor True had to say that. If Kamala was in charge, it would have been then all bullshit as usual. Now you can't unsee this shit. All this shit, yeah. So I got what I wanted. Not all that I wanted, but like the main stuff, but like on the side stuff, yeah. They hate Trump. They don't know why. And I've asked the question. When you ask them, they just get mad. If you ask them now, all of a sudden you a Trump. No, I'm a thinker. Understand, like, you talking to a black person, and most black people didn't vote for Trump. So you can get mad at me all you want to. But the people you really need to be mad at look like you. Just him making a threat to sue opens the door for a lot of people to start suing content creators for reaction vids. Just my opinion. I mean, they want to, people want to do, like, Megan Thee Stallion tried that shit. Like, they keep trying to sue content creators and testing that shit. Yeah, he trying to sue because Corey Holcomb put his daughter, he talking all that shit. But I hear you, yeah. Yeah, well, the problem is now people will play games about Passport Bros. Is Passport Bros really black? That's when they'll start paying fast and loose with that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're defaming a brand versus a person. And Passport Bros isn't really a racial group. And that's how they'll get around that. But they not stopping niggas from traveling. They not. They not stopping shit. Look at what IShowSpeed just did. IShowSpeed is the most followed black person on YouTube. And one of the top followed people on YouTube in general with 50 million viewers. He just did an African tour. The work we've done kind of laid the groundwork to give context to something like that. So, it's getting popular. IShowSpeed is, I think, like 22, 23. DDG, talk about, is gone in Nigeria. Well, you protect your daughter by not picking fights. That's how you really protect your daughter. Because Corey knew he could have been sued. You think Corey didn't talk to a lawyer before he did that? Corey goes live once a week. In fact, he'll be live. He should be live now. You think Corey didn't talk to a lawyer? Yeah. So at the end of the day, the interest, I mean, they raised the interest. Oh, he goes on at 11? Okay. That's what they really scared of. Because that's when it's going to start being trendy. Anyway, y'all, I got to go. I'll give y'all some time to kind of break that up. Like I said, we still working on the Discord. So when that shit's popping, I'll let y'all know. But yeah, this is Edward signing off. Peace.